let we march, let we march, let we march. Barbados!
Time for people get up and make a bargain.
19.2. Yeah, 19.2. A person who intentionally or recklessly uses a computer system, A, to publish, broadcast, or transmit that includes private sexual photographs and other videos without the consent of the person who appears in them, with the intent to humiliate, harass, or cause substantial emotional distress to that person. They're trying to protect the perverts now. If the perverts send out their put their private business and photograph and send it out, and you do that too, and they can send it out, but you can't retweet it, and you're liable on summary conviction to a fine of $70,000. This is a magistrate, a magistrate imposing $70,000 fine or an imprisonment for 7 years. Summary means before a magistrate. So they are putting this in the hands of a magistrate. No jury, no judge, no jury, a magistrate. You gotta be careful with that. They say, and then they go on to, if you send repeatedly to another person data that is obscene, vulgar, I don't want you to do that. The other thing is that it's 3. Part I don't like. A person who intentionally uses a computer system to disseminate any words or images, not caring whether they are true or false, and causes or is likely to cause or subject a person to ridicule, contempt, or embarrassment, is guilty of an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $70,000. This is normally done for defamation of character. If I defame you, you take me before the court. No, these people are so mean that what is essentially now a private issue between two persons, they want to make it a criminal offense. That's the problem I have with that section. If you are aggrieved by it, you go to your lawyer, put me in court, and let me go and get a judge or somebody to deal with it. No, but they want to put this matter before a magistrate. I do not like the idea of you are subjecting a person to 7 years in prison and $70,000 fine by a magistrate.
Yeah, but Mr. Franklin, if I may just because I'm seeing this section that I wanted especially highlighted before Apostle Breedy comes on, because we're going to get a chance to go into it in detail afterwards. It says it's section 20B. A person who intentionally uses a computer system for the purpose of causing annoyance, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, embarrassment, insult, injury, humiliation, intimidation, hatred, anxiety, or causes substantial emotional distress to that person, is guilty of an offense and is liable on summary conviction to a fine of $70,000 or to imprisonment for a term of 7 years or to both. Do we see it is so the if you say anything, if you put anything on the computer that annoys somebody, can you imagine? All of us, inconvenience, danger, obstruction, embarrassment. If I need to embarrass the government, there's going to be a problem. Insult, injury, humiliation, intimidation. Who will be exempted from this fine of $70,000 or 7 years imprisonment?
But I find that strange, because normally a magistrate can only sentence you to 2 years for an offense. Anything over that usually goes to the High Court. But no, they see, because you must realize that they're putting their friends as magistrates too. We have a law system in place reduced to law in writing that says that how the process of hiring people in the public service must go. They have not been doing that. They're just picking up people and making them what they want them to be. And included in that lot of magistrates. We are seeing a lot of people turning up. Yeah, funny names, the boys are magistrate. No interview. Not necessarily being the most senior person. It is just at the whim and fancy of whoever decides that they're going to be magistrates and who are going to be judges. And I don't trust the system.
Well, Mr. Franklin, when you look at what is happening here, what this is saying here, we know we would not be able to say anything. Even preachers will get into trouble. We can't say anything. A group like mine, who would have done a piece that was disqualified, if it did anything, if it caused anybody to feel uncomfortable, embarrassed, anything like that, I would have been in jail since I wrote it. Right?
No, but Marcia, the priest who streamed his service in trouble. You know that?
Correct.
If you stream it, you're in trouble. These people want muzzle us, tie us up, bind us in such a way that we cannot speak. We can't just hold up our heads and do anything.
I have in the studio Apostle Marguerite Breedy, and I just want to welcome her to the studio tonight. She's no stranger to us all, and we sometimes would see her preaching on the roadside in Barbados, warning Barbadians. God has given her many words, etc., etc. She's one of those who spoke up very boldly about the ID. And up to Saturday, I was in town and I was passing by and saw you had a worship session in the park. They're in town as well. And so you use social media a lot. So people like you would be seemingly, if this goes through, would be in jail. Myself, and be paying out $70,000. So before we even go into the cyber bill, I want to personally thank you, ma'am, for the contribution that you have made along with others, because it's not one person at all. It's quite a number of us, along with the people who are here on message 605 of us here tonight. Everybody who's on and who has been pushing this thing. Thank you so much for your contribution to what has happened in the Parliament just on Tuesday. God bless you and thank you so much. What are your thoughts about what the minister said about removing the deadline altogether on this ID? Do you have any thoughts on that before we move into the cybersecurity law?
They really didn't have no choice. The fact is they had no choice. I think they thought that Barbadians are still docile. But they have to understand that there is a mixture of Barbadians now, a mixture of blood, a mixture of Barbadians with Jamaicans, St. Lucians, Grenadians. So they don't have no docile Bajan anymore. There is a mixture of blood. And so the fact is, if Bajans are quiet, God is going to raise up those that he has sanctioned to do the work. So they have no choice. And from what the Lord have been showing me, your next match is going to be huge. The voodoo is off. The voodoo for Ghana is off. It's off their eyes. It's off everywhere. And Bajans are going to wake up and Bajans are going to see that this administration is not for them. What I want to say here is that you cannot put the same people that vote you in jail. And that's what she's trying to do. It's more, as a matter of fact, if you look at the prophecies they have given, when this lady came in power, the Lord told me that she would be a dictator. Bajans, that she would be a dictator. And that's the, all of these prophecies have come to pass. I also prophesy that Barbados would be a republic. That came to pass. Hundreds of prophecies about Barbados have come to pass. So this lady is a dictator. And the fact is that Bajans has to wake up to fight that government. And, and I think Bajans are waking up. You cannot, all of this is the beast system. It is the beast system. But the fact is, she is the one to push the beast system into the Caribbean. Because she's the one. Barbados was the epicenter for 2 years ago. That's what it was, the epicenter. It's just like slave days. Barbados was the epicenter for the slave trade. Do you know that? So she continued to become the epicenter of everything during this end time. So I want to tell Bajans, wake up, and now is the time to wake up. There is a revival that has to happen in this country, and it's not going to happen under oppression. And that's the reason why the people need to wake up. So they couldn't do anything else. So all I want to say to you, Mrs. Weeks, don't be afraid. You are anointed to do this work. Don't be afraid. They can't do you anything. Remember, I was arrested here in Barbados for standing up for a young girl. That same cyber bill or computer annoyance where police came inside here. All what they put in that paper was not true. Police came inside here, beat up my children. I still have the marks. And then while I was in Jamaica preaching, God told me I was going to be arrested. I said, what I was going to, because I never had an arrest. I never had an arresting. I was arrested for that, where I helped a young girl and police came inside my house, arrest my 3 children. What this lady wants to do is to have a police state in this country, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen because you are there. Mr. Caswell is there. Other people, you are the voice for the nation, and I don't care who's listening. The Lord told me 3 days ago, don't stop talking. So I just want to say that. Two years ago, I was arrested while I was doing a show, and a young girl was calling me to help her because she was raped at a church in Barbados. And I didn't know that that pastor was part of the Masonic Lodge. And let me tell you, I wrote a book about it. 16 squad van came to arrest me. 16 squad van came to arrest me. You would think I had drugs. They took away I had to get lawyers. So this is what this lady is trying to do. And I want to tell Barbadians, the Lord did tell me that this bill was going to pass and preachers are going to get arrested. Why are they going to be arrested? For preaching the word, and when they refuse to marry the same sex. And that's what she's trying to do here. And I am calling on all Barbadians to wake up, to wake up. The Lord said they can. As a matter of fact, when they thought that they were going to charge me, God killed the man. I prophesied that. God killed the man that put me in court. No police never came. Now, when you want to give police that type of power, I know that there is good policemen and there is bad policemen. You cannot give policemen that type of power in a country. That means the country is a police state. And Barbadians, you are going to lose your children from that. And that's why I'm telling you to rise up now.
Yes. You know, we have there is a march that is coming up on February 10th. And we want everyone to come out to that. It is so important. It would mean all of us, I'm telling you, will be locked up. And if this goes through, and we want to say to Minister Cattle, Minister Cattle, we need you. You need to sit down and look at 19 and 20 again. It can't work. 19 and 20 cannot work in Barbados. So what would you want to say to Barbadians about February 10th, Apostle Breedy?
Well, my church will be there. We will be there in full force. And when you see I come out, the reason why I will be there, it is because you cannot allow an individual that you put in power to want you as a prisoner in your own country. You cannot allow that. Because what I don't understand is that I don't see jobs being formed. From the time this government came in, all they do is to pass laws. I see no job. I see no jobs passing for young men to come out of the block. Is this a government of laws to imprison the nation? That's what I want to say. I'm not seeing no jobs. Where are the jobs being formed? Is it a government to just enslave the nation? Now, a good leader will not enslave her own nation. First of all, 2 years ago, people die before their time. Have you sold out the people? So I will be there by God's grace in all of our numbers. We will be there. We have two congregations, one from the north, one in St. Michael, and we will be there. And I am urging Barbados, all of you, do not stay home. Come in all of your numbers and let these people know that we have a voice in this country.
What do you have to say to Apostle Breedy? Having heard that she has been through, basically she has been through that. They used the other law, the Computer Misuse Act, and got her and locked her up. In what are your thoughts about what she just shared?
I don't realize that. I know they're bad, these people are bad, but I don't realize that they were so depraved because you cannot, I can't say cannot because they have. You cannot go and try to criminalize decent people because they don't share your views. I don't share a lot of people's views. That means I should be in jail ever since. And I am glad that she is no worse for wear, having gone through that experience. But that experience is not easy because you do not expect to be dragged into a police station. And there, what about her that needs 16 vans of police to arrest? How many guns she had? So which army she had with her? This they go overboard because they don't want it. Your views, they want it because you are a leader. You see, you have to destroy it from the head. Any movement you want to do, you got to destroy it from the head. So she was heading the movement. So they want to take her out because she is not out there washing the people's feet like some other foolish religious people. They're walking to the church and they're going to bring some water and washing her foot and praying for her and stuff. I don't know where it could. They get carried away with this nonsense, and they think that is worship. They're not worshiping Jesus Christ when they do that. They're worshiping her, and they don't realize it. They should stay away from the pulpit. They should stay away from whatever else they got in their church. There's not a pulpit, lecture, whatever they got, but they should stay away from it because the people who really stand up and preach the word of God are going to be the people that they want to take out.
That's
John the Baptist. Remember John the Baptist, huh? John the Baptist was an irritant. So you were a modern day John the Baptist, but you still have your head.
Do you think that this is something that, for example, a bill like this, the churches or the pastors should be teaching the congregation about the bill, especially their section 19 and 20? Do you think this is something that they should take the time to talk to their congregation about?
Well, you have to see whether these are under the influence, because a lot of pastors in this country are under the influence. What I mean by the influence, if you are you are under her influence, you won't do it. But the fact is that I believe if you are a true child of God and you understand what is going on in Barbados, you as a pastor should teach your people what is about to happen, because the Lord showed me a lot of pastors will be arrested here. There is not a word I have given that I've dropped to the ground. As a matter of fact, when my lawyers were saying, oh, this is going to drag on, the Lord told me, whoever touched me gonna die, and they did die. The fact is, everybody's not bold as I am. Everybody, you have to be in that realm to be able to do that. So we pray that those people that are listening today, will understand this is for about their children. This is about Barbados and what is about to take place in this country, and they will come to that place to say, let me teach our church about what is going on. From what I am seeing, I believe that there are ministers of the gospel that is waking up. And as I said to
Yes,
you, your next match will be huge. Um, Ministers of the gospel, they are waking up. And I believe people, if you are in the presence of God, you see the spiritual climate over Barbados is not very good. It's not a very good spiritual climate. And the fact is, I believe people are waking up. People are waking up. I guess I cannot speak about that on this live, but I'm telling you, there will be a movement in this country. There'll be a mighty movement in this country. I have seen it. The Lord have showed me, and there will be a movement. There will be a mighty movement, a movement that you have never seen before. It's coming.
and I'm hoping that Minister Carol is a reasonable woman, and that she will listen to the people. This is not going to go down well for them. I want to thank you so much for joining us, Apostle. As I said, I know you're busy and you took that time to be here with us this evening. God bless you. And is there anything else you want to say to her, Mr. Franklin?
Not just keep the faith, keep working for the people of this country, keep working for God. God will protect you, as He has already.
Thank you so much.
He's removed a stumbling block in the past. He will remove more.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I
Thank
have
you.
I
Here to
have
me.
to run, but you will see me on the 10th. I will be on the streets on the 10th. All right? I have
Yes.
already tell the people of God in church that we will be marching and we will shut down every business to be there on the 10th.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much. God bless you and continue your work. God bless you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
I'm seeing Apostle Scantlebury in, and let me just see if we can hear him. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am. How are you doing?
Great, 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 wonderful. We can hear you. That's wonderful.
So I'm excited to be here with you guys tonight.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Well, I thought of you as soon as I read certain sections of this cybercrime bill. I don't know if you saw sections 19 and 20 in particular.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's why I contacted you, because I wanted to know from you, sir. One, have you seen those sections, and what are your thoughts about it?
Well, they're coming after you for sure. They're coming after you and Mr. Franklin and Kimar, all of us that been making it difficult for them to move forward with their plans and ideas here in Barbados. So that's basically what that's all about. But they, on a greater scheme of things, this goes to show Barbadians the mistake that they made at the last two elections. And again, we're seeing over and over the blatant disrespect that they have for the public of Barbados, and the fact that they're always coming with these very sudden and dangerous laws and regulations and all of these stipulations that they're attempting to put on the public of Barbados. And we have a responsibility, not only as ministers but also as citizens of Barbados, to stop this, to stand up and be vocal, and to let them know that we're not going to have this type of activity in Barbados. I'll tell you the reality of this, though, but on a greater scale, this is going to backfire. I mean, everything that they have done so far has basically backfired. And one of the things that the Lord showed me about their operation in 2024 is that nothing they do will work. He's totally destroyed their technology for 2024, and so crazy because I haven't seen Miss Cattle do anything like that in 6 years. I'm trying to figure out where she's now come from all of a sudden. But the reality of you know coming to the public and saying to us that you want to implement these things, you can take away our freedom of speech. You can have the police to come and into people's homes and premises and take away their laptops and their devices. They have to understand that number one, Facebook and Google and YouTube, they're not owned by the people of Barbados. They're not owned by the government of Barbados either. And for you to do that, to want to operate with the people of Barbados in such a way that is already a huge level of disrespect to our people, then they have to be very careful that this does not turn around and backfire on them. And I'm going to quickly prove my point where this is concerned. The reality is, Madam Weeks, is that if they use their social media platforms or their YouTube, Facebook, whatever, and they say anything or do anything on their social media platforms that we, the people of Barbados, we decree or we consider it to be defamatory or disrespectful, remember they're the government. They will owe each citizen of Barbados $70,000 if we sue them. So this is going to backfire, and as I said, they can take this legislation and shove this up Pluto's orbit, because this is not going to manifest in Barbados at no level. Now, the other element is that we did not even hear from the Commissioner of Police stating that we're not, the Barbados Police Force, we're not designed for that. Okay? The government would have to create their own, just like they did during COVID. They created their own network and their own unit to deal with these matters. This is not a job for the Barbados Police Force to be entering people's homes to take up laptops and all these different things. But the consciousness that I really need our public in Barbados right now to wake up and to realize that we're dealing with a very sick government. We're dealing with a very, very demonic government. I've been saying this over and over and over and over. And, people are waking up very slowly, but not fast enough to understand that if we, the people of Barbados, if we don't move now to move this government to get rid of, what they're doing and what their plans are, we're not going to come into the future of our nation, which is what they're trying to amputate. Now, I have a few more things that I want to say about this cybercrime bill that hopefully, if someone is listening on behalf of the government, they'll probably take this back to them. But I'm going to show you, as we discuss here tonight, why this is going to backfire and why it's going to create a bigger problem for them as a government going forward.
Yeah. Someone is saying here, that there are aspects of this bill that could affect churches and pastors and anybody who uses the social media to preach, etc. Do you see it like that? Do you agree?
Oh yes. Especially in here in Barbados, I've been very, very vocal, as you know, like yourself, against the whole COVID situation, against a lot of the things that they've been doing here in Barbados. I've not held my mouth, and I've used my platform to speak to a lot of the ills that I see, which is the responsibility that I have as a spiritual leader. I have to make sure that in Barbados we speak to national things that affects not only the Christian community, but also the entirety of the population of Barbados. And then especially I have to be able to speak up for those individuals who themselves, they don't have a voice. So I see this as, again, not just an attack on the people of Barbados, but it is an attack on the church as well too, which means that they are, again, attacking the church. They're coming after the church. And this is something that I will not stand for, and I cannot stand for it. And I'm hoping that we have more ministers of God here in Barbados who realize that we are in a battle right now. We're at war, and this cyber crimes bill has literally declared war on the churches in Barbados, and we have to respond to that.
Yeah. On Saturday there is a march that is happening on Saturday. There are lots of Christians who say, well, unless it's a march for Jesus, I'm not involved in marches. What as an apostle, a pastor, prophet, in this country, a spiritual leader, what do you say to people who will want to stay home on Saturday when this march is happening because it's not a march for Jesus?
Oh, well, any march that Christians are going to be involved in is always a march for Jesus. You can't get away from that. The specifics of the march might not necessarily be all Bible, and church related, but we have to understand that the people of Barbados, we are the government. We elect the ones that are supposed to serve us. So the church itself is very heavily involved in any aspect of government. We have to understand that. We're not just here to sit down and just have a church service and clap our hands and hear a message. We have to be very, very vocal and also involved in matters that will help to bring about a level of balance and sustainability within our nation. The problem that I have, though, Madam Weeks, is that a lot of our Christian community and a lot of our leadership, they love this party, okay? And that is a big issue. And this is why we cannot get beyond dealing with these matters, because, this element of loving a party and loving a particular leader over loving the future that God has for your nation, this is where we are. And many times, again, remember, this is the same individual who stood on the back of a truck and said, when the Democratic Labour Party was in power, that we should be able to speak in our own nation without the fear of being victimized. So how is it that you are now coming, after making that big, bold statement to the public in Barbados, you're now coming to refute that and to demonstrate to us that you were just speaking words? You really had no real desire of manifesting that as our government. So again, what we need now is for people to be more conscious about the future of our nation, where we're going to go as a nation, and stop letting these people disconnect us from the reality of what Barbados can actually eventuate into. And I think it's so important that the Christian community be at the helm of what is happening in our nation right now. And we have been quiet for too long. And I believe now that they've attacked us again with this cyber crimes bill, now that they've gotten to the point where, again, the police giving them the kind of power to just enter premises and even churches. That might even now happen at churches while we're live streaming. So this is a very, very serious situation. And I think right now our Christian community, we have to really, really pay attention to the truth that this administration that we're under, they need to go. I mean, all of them. And I think they're well-meaning individuals within the party. They're lawyers within the party. And I cannot believe that people who are educated, who we believe have common sense, would actually sit and discuss and come up with a bill like this and actually want to take it to Parliament to bring this on the people of Barbados. This is a group of very sick individuals, and the people of Barbados must rise up and come together right now. We need to make a demand. We had enough of you guys. It's time for you to go. Can't wait for another 3 or 4 years before another election, because we have no idea what else these folk are going to do. Okay, so I think now is our time to move. Now is our time to act.
It would be great to have you as one of those speakers at the march. We're not going in Independence Square, but we've developed our own style, Mr. Franklin, where we are speaking on the truck.
Okay.
All right, because we do that to cut down expenses. you know, but I know Apostle Breedy said she's gonna come, and I'm gonna, it'll be interesting to see her up on top of that truck. But we would love for you to come, and you know, and to speak to Barbados. I believe that you know, this particular, as soon as I saw it, I thought of both of you, honestly, and I said, somebody said, "Be careful, minister. You may be embarrassing the government." So I want to ask if you would come speak on the truck, and then someone else asked in the chat, "Are you going to invite your church to come out at the march?"
Of course, I think right now the reality has come to the fore in terms of what we have to do as the Christian community. And again, I will say this: the time has come for the Christian community in Barbados to lead the fight against this regime. I mean, we cannot say back. I mean, I have so many individuals and ministers after it first came out. I was in Trinidad at the time, and they asked, "Well, Apostle, what are we going to do?" And I'm saying, "What are we going to do?" Well, I'm only doing what I've always been doing, um, speaking out against these issues that have come to the public here in Barbados. But now we have to do the work of not just marching, um, Marcia. We have to make a demand that these people go. All right. Now we have to realize that the only type of language these folk understand is power. Whether that power is spiritual, whether it's coming from God, or whether it's coming from men and women of God, or whether that power is coming through the people. That's the only language they understand. And until Barbadians realize, and until the Christian community realize that it is our responsibility to set the tone and to build the type of effectiveness in terms of speaking to the powers that be, to let them know that we are not going to stand for this. We're not going to sit down idly by and just let this happen. We're going to come at you. We're going to fight against you to make sure that our nation does not come under this type of hellish activity. And I want to make sure that I say this hellish activity that they're constantly bringing to the people of Barbados. But this is not going to work. I can tell you that it's not going to work.
I believe what I do is God's work. When I take care of his people who can't help themselves. You know, when I go and represent a person who couldn't afford a lawyer, who couldn't afford me, and I represent them, and I do it because if I didn't represent them, nobody else would, and then they win. You know, I believe I'm doing God's work. I'm taking care of his people. So when you hear people say they're not going to march because it is not God's work, no, God's work doesn't mean that you only preach. Taking care of your people, God's people, is God's work.
Yes, sir.
Speaking up for God's people who can't speak up for themselves is God's work. You don't have to do it from a pulpit. So I don't understand. I just try to find out if you agree with my thing, because that's what I believe. I believe that I doing God's work when I help people who can't help themselves.
Right. Well, I completely agree with that, Mr. Franklin. You know, we help people on different levels. Okay. And sometimes we tend to believe that because somebody may be doing it on a higher level or greater level, that it's not help. But we are all designed to help individuals on different levels, and you're helping people here in Barbados on a level that I actually can't. I mean, that's where you come in. That's where your forte is. But we're all working collectively at the same time to bring about the level of justice and righteousness that our people need to have. And unfortunately, it's not manifesting. There many powers that are still fighting and trying their best to stop the movement that we need to have going forward into making Barbados what it is supposed to be. Now, I'm going to say this particular aspect at this point, because I don't think that our government has sat down and really thought this whole cyber crimes bill through. I don't think they have. I think this is another attempt to destabilize the people of Barbados so that they can carry out their assignment. And I know that there are a lot of individuals who are primarily afraid of, speaking. And I know there are individuals within the Barbados Labour Party who are aware of a lot of the ills that are being brought to the people of Barbados, but they themselves are afraid to speak out. I mean, we've never had a government where out of the 29 persons that have been elected, you only hear about 3 or 4 or 5 individuals of that entire government actually speak to the public or actually say anything. So we began to realize that it's a carefully structured system. I mean, you haven't heard Ms. McConey since that whole situation at the Spring Memorial School. I mean, you've hardly heard her. I mean, you hear sometimes Mr. Jordan, Mr. Abrams, Ms. Bradshaw, but it's just a small cadre of folk that you keep hearing out of this political party, but you do not hear the mass of them. It's like they themselves are under control. And I know personally that many of them are not happy. And this bill is also designed to block and to stop many of them from actually speaking out against this government as well. And so I want to make sure that, just a moment, I want to make sure that we do what is necessary, even to have protection right across the board, whether the response is governmental or whether it's from the public or whether it's from the church or from the commercial industry, or even if it's coming from someone outside of Barbados. And you want to tell me that if someone outside of Barbados, they actually send a video to me about something that they have found out about Barbados, that I'm wrong for looking at that or viewing that information
For receiving
on my device? Are you kidding me to believe that you would actually come with that type of nonsense? And as a matter of fact, if the lady Sherry Veronica, if she did not post her stuff, we would have never known that the gentleman in question was lying to Barbados about the entire situation. So what about if someone is actually putting the truth out there? Then you're going to tell me that you're going to come against an individual for putting the truth on a social media platform? I mean, this is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, because he's embarrassed. If you embarrass him, it says if you embarrass, you hurt his feelings, that kind of thing, you can be charged for it.
But here's my point: you embarrass you embarrass Barbados by behaving the way you behave off of our country. Okay, in a way, you broke the national pledge. Okay, you pledge allegiance to the country Barbados, to the flag, to honor, to uphold their honor, and by your living to do credit to your nation. So he embarrassed Barbados. Okay, he embarrassed Barbados, and then to come on social media and lie to the public, the entire world actually, about what happened. Where's the embarrassment? I don't think putting right out there or putting information that is accurate can be classified as embarrassment. You have already embarrassed the nation. And for our government to come to just deal with the element of the use of a device, a laptop or a phone or a laptop or a tablet or whatever, that in your opinion, listen, so many lies were told to Barbadians during COVID. So many lies were told.
Right. Make sure you don't use the V word, okay? Careful with the V word. Yeah. Again.
Well,
another situation.
You know that's going to come up at some point in time, okay? You know that's going to come up. But
yeah.
the reality is,
it comes up all the time, and the last time they took me off. So what I'm trying to do, I've lost 3 channels because of that. I'm trying to keep this on for the Barbadian people. So I'm not afraid of it. It's just that I want to have something open for the Barbadian people, and it's this channel. Yeah.
I'll do my best to make sure that you're protected, ma'am. I'll do my best. But I'm saying there's so much embarrassment that has gone on uh, in Barbados that we've seen on social media. A lot of it. Okay, and nothing was done about it. But I think that one of the elements that we're dealing with here is that this government has signed on to so many conventions that they are doing their best to make Barbados the guinea pig for everything that needs to be done. And I know that the rest of the Caribbean, they're watching to see what we in Barbados are going to do. If we're going to sit back and let this happen, or if we're going to fight it and stop it, they're waiting. They're waiting to see what happens in Barbados. You have nations right now around the world, and by this bill, you've already embarrassed Barbadians because other nations and other individuals in other nations are asking, what type of stupidity is this? How can a government of a small country, 166 square miles, how can you guys think to go to parliament to pass a bill like this in a country like Barbados? And they're countries with millions of people who have not even been thinking on this level. So I know that they're pushing these different agendas in Barbados because they're attempting to make Barbados the guinea pig, okay, for what is supposed to come in the Caribbean. They're constantly pushing this agenda, and consistently you see our leader putting these individuals to do all of her dirty work. These folk don't have a clue what is really going on. They have no clue what's happening. But we, the people of Barbados, and those of us in the church community who recognize that this is an attack on our sovereignty, we have to rise up and we have to say something to this government, and we have to tell them we're not just marching against you. Our marches this time says we want you to go. We're tired of you. We had enough. And this is what has to be said to them, because they are not interested in Barbados's future. They're interested in the IMS future, the World Economic Forum. They're interested in the World Bank's future, the UN's future, but they are not interested in the God future for this nation. And I've come to the point where I've been saying this over and over. I said this is the most demonic government we've ever had in our nation. And I will keep saying that until we get our people to rise up and make it a declaration. We've had enough. This is as far as we're going to allow you to go.
Yeah. You know, I want to thank you for your time, but Kimar, I wanted to ask Kimar, do you have any comment or any questions for Apostle Scantlebury before he departs? I know today's Sunday and you had church and all kinds of things, and we so appreciate your time. Kimar, is there anything you want to ask the pastor before he goes?
Yeah, well, good night to you, Apostle Scantlebury.
Good night, sir.
Good to always hear from you. You know, I'm empowered when I hear you speak. So it's really good to hear you on the show. I just wanted to make a comment in line with what you were saying about the church and offering representation, and bring it back to Marguerite and the Praise Academy's disqualification and censoring of their dance and their play, right? Every church is not sitting up and watching that and taking that as an example, right? To say, well, we are under attack as well, because the church, there's no church on this earth that could come and tell me they believe in more than 2 genders, right? There's no church that can say that and still be a church of Jesus, right? So if that can happen on a micro level, she can even be persecuted by a sitting senator, attacked, and said that it was not in good taste and some other adjectives they use. Imagine when the church gets up and starts to preach the word of the Lord to push back on their agenda. They already classified it. It's called hate speech, hatred.
Right.
And it goes against the transgender and the LGBT and all the other groups included in that, right? The truth of the church and the word of the Lord, when you speak that, they consider it to be hate speech, right? And discriminating against other people. So all of the pastors, all of the denominations, Anglican, Catholic, Adventist, Moravian, it doesn't matter which denomination you're from. As long as you preach the word of the Lord, that is considered to be hate speech
Right.
according
Right.
to these people, right?
Exactly.
And every church
Exactly.
don't stand up, every church don't stand up and learn from what happened to Praise Academy of Dance in terms of being discriminated against with that play, then this is the end of the church. The church now has to fall in line, and it was prophesied that there will be a mixture of church and state in the days, and you can't tell the other from the other, right?
Right.
And we're seeing that even more with the Prime Minister appointing two spiritual advisors, right? Trying
No,
to give
actually,
the
she just have those are just advisors.
right? But it gives the connotation that there's Christian acceptance of the agenda,
Right.
right? Because if a Christian spiritual advisor could advise them to bring this cybercrime bill, then what are we to think? What are observers to think, right? So when
Good
they
question.
continue to roll out this agenda, and these Christian advisors, along with the fact that they just put a reverend in the Senate or the Parliament,
Right.
give this false flag doctrine that there's, and you know how they will spread it, that there's nationwide confirmation of the agenda by the Christian community, and that the Christian community fully agrees, based off the sports persons they have that are in there, that they
Right.
fully agree, and they are able to pass this bill to shut down the church and shut down the bloggers and shut down us.
Right.
Then that achieves the agenda from the government to demoralize the country, to take the same religion, but I say take God out of everything, or they try to take him out of the anthem, right? They try to take him out of the Constitution. Remember they try to take him out of the schools. Remember
Right.
they saying that they having no longer having prayers but mindfulness sessions. What was the mindfulness session,
Right. Right. Right.
right? So the church in itself need to be more pragmatic out there with the message. I'm not saying that don't preach to the word, but the church must become a little more modern in
Right.
terms of having an education arm to teach the congregation. Not saying we don't need to understand biblical stories, but teaching the congregation about the cybercrime bill and the implications that it will have for your life as a Christian and for your life as a person living in Barbados. You need to mix the education that we got from Christ in the Bible and use it to empower yourself to stand up against regimes like this, because most Christians will say, well, these are the last days and these things have to happen. Yes, maybe they have to happen, but the Lord didn't say don't stand up and fight.
Right. Well,
Right?
again, last days, that is something that is pretty much neither here or there. And Kimura, I want to, before I go, I want to, thank you for the work you've been doing. Been doing an amazing job, to be honest with you. And thank God for your bravery and the insight that He's given you to, along with Marcia and Mr. Franklin, to bring these very potent level of information and intelligence that we need here in Barbados. So I want to really thank you guys for doing the work that you have been doing. I know they've been at Mr. Franklin ever since he walked out of Parliament. So, and I know they've been at Marcia for as long as she's been on the air, and they've been at myself for a very long time. But the reality is that I am a citizen of Barbados. I was born here. They can't change that. They can't take that from me. I'm not fleeing to any other country to be safe. I want them to know that I'm going to be in Barbados, and I'm going to be doing everything that I can do to make sure that Barbados becomes a very safe, productive, vibrant, godly, and prosperous nation. And I do want to say this before I close tonight. This bill is going to backfire on them, and this is going to be the downfall of this administration that we've been waiting on. And if they think that this bill coming to Barbados is going to put them in a better position, I guarantee them it will not. It will not put them in any better position. And again, we the people, we're going to stand up and we're going to fight them. We're going to stop this bill. We're going to stop this bill by the help of the Lord. We're going to stop it. And, you know, as I said earlier, they have to understand that we have been embarrassed during COVID, embarrassed with the lockdowns. We've come out of COVID. We've realized that a lot of what was done to us during COVID was fake. A lot of it was false. A lot of propaganda, a lot of this stuff happening. You know, all of the lockdowns and lockups and, you know, going to shop only on the day of the letter of your last name. All of that we suffered. All of that we suffered as a nation. And we have come out of that and realized now that a lot of this stuff that happened was huge embarrassment and huge propaganda to the people of Barbados. So it means then that they cannot come on social media platform and ever tell us a lie. Because the moment that we find out that they have lied to us, then the government that is in charge of the entirety of Barbados, they owe every citizen in Barbados $70,000 or 7 years in jail. So I'm telling you, if they really want to push this, they can go right on ahead and push it. But I guarantee you, this is not going to work in their favor. And I'm hoping that we have more individuals, more ministers that will stop hiding behind the bush and come out openly and make it clear. Marcia, I want to make it abundantly clear right now. In terms of marching, the march must be not to stop this bill. The march must be, we want these people to go. Okay, I'll come and I will be supportive of this, but I want my stance on this matter to be clear. I personally have had enough of this Barbados Labour Party. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of the kind of leadership. I'm tired of the type of systems that they've implemented here, the things they've allowed to happen, the whole situation, embarrassment at the Spring Memorial School. And these folk do not have the wisdom of God. The whole embarrassment with coming and saying by January 31st, all ID cards, you know, they're over with and you must get the new one. Then to come back and tell us, oh, that's over. You don't have to do that anymore. We've seen that with them over and over. They implement one thing, they come back a week later and they change it. This is basically going to be the same thing. This is not going anywhere. This cybercrime bill is stuck in the mud as far as I'm concerned. And I want them to understand, and Marcia, I'm telling you, I'm coming, but my stance is clear. I do not want to be in a Barbados ran by the Barbados Labour Party. Okay, I've had enough of it, and I do not see Barbados going into any foreseeable greater future being led by this current leader and being under this current administration. It's the most demonic government we've ever had, and they've consistently used this whole system of witchcraft and fear and dread coming on the people of Barbados to carry out their agenda. Why the people are scared and why the people are questioning and worrying on brass tacks and, you know, trying to figure out what are we going to do next, they're implementing their own plans and their own laws. And I want to make it clear, as a man of God in Barbados, I do not accept them as my leader. I do not accept them as my government, and I will stay under the leadings of the Lord until God moves in this nation in such a way that we have the right government, until we have the right constitution, because they do not have a constitution, so they are not under any type of systemic legal precedents to bring any laws like this to Barbados. And I'm going to stand up as a man of God. I'm making it abundantly clear. I'm putting it out there for whoever is watching on their behalf. to let them know where Apostle Scantlebury stands. I've had enough with them, and seriously, we will not have a future under the present Barbados Labour Party.
Yes. Thank you so much, Apostle Scantlebury. And as someone said that, we've said it. I know you haven't been to a lot of our marches. You've been at a couple rally, but on the marches, it has been said all the time, people want this government to go. And so when you come and you're speaking, make sure you say that, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, ma'am.
And it will go right. I believe everybody there will be saying that. We sometimes have placards with it on it. So we'll get a placard made especially for you with that on it. Okay? We will get one especially for you made. But we are saying the same thing you are saying.
Thank
We're
you.
saying the same
made
thing.
at Unity.
Unity Workers Union, which
Thank
has
you, Mr.
been,
Franklin. Thank you.
which has been in the poll. It has been polled as the most trusted union in Barbados.
Right.
The Unity
Right.
Workers Union.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
over 70% of Barbadians say it is the most trusted, union in Barbados, and that's where we will be making the placards.
Yes,
As
ma'am.
per
Okay.
usual. Thank you so
Oh.
much, Apostle, and I hope to see you on Saturday. And yes, we will see you on Saturday. God bless you. Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate you for having me on your show. Mr. Franklin, blessings on you. Kimar, stay
Yes,
strong.
thank you. Thank you
And I
very
will
much.
see you guys on Saturday.
Let we march, let we march, let we march. Barbados!
Time for people